Welcome to the Pivot Playbook. I'm your host, Kelly Riley. If you're itching for change and seeking inspiration, you're in the right place. We're sharing incredible stories of people who've reinvented their lives and the lessons they've learned along the way. Get ready to be inspired and feel empowered to write your own success story. So buckle up, your pivot starts now. Let's get started. Hello, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am great. I am so excited to have you here. So,
Absolutely.
Michelle and I met through a mutual friend through a networking group. And as you guys will soon find out, Michelle has such a crazy, awesome energy. She is just full of life and full of pizzazz. And the other day, or a couple weeks ago, there was another separate networking event that we both ended up going to. And she shared her story about a pivot. And so I'd never heard this story before, but I loved it. And she was one of the first people I thought of to do an interview with for this podcast because I love her story. It's not at all where I thought, it was going to come from. So I can't wait to dive into that and learn more and then just introduce you to who this beautiful person is. So, Michelle, let's start off with just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, firstly, thank you for that introduction because that was fabulous.
Mhm.
The anticipation is there. So my name is Michelle. I came from a 10-year background in eye care. I absolutely love it. I still love it to this day. It's just, it's really where my heart was. I really loved patient care and people and supporting and helping. And basically, what happened was during COVID, I decided to pivot because I really wasn't sure. Everything was so, we didn't have answers for things. So I figured if, the world is going to end in the next year or two, I'm going to make sure I'm home with my kids and not in somebody else's office. So that kind of led me down the road of working from home. And I decided that this is where I wanted to be. My time was free and open. And I came across, well, I didn't come across, my best friend runs a landscaping business, and she needed so much help in bookkeeping. And I just decided to help her out on a whim because I like organizing and charts and I'm weird and crazy like that. So data is my thing. I get really excited for zero discrepancies. And she was just like, please help me. So she dropped off a garbage bag. I organized 3 years of her paperwork and she was able to sleep at night. She was so excited. And I realized that I could take all the skills I knew in healthcare, everything I loved about healthcare, and basically I went from business care to opposite way. I went from healthcare to business care, but it's so hand in hand. Um, the task that I'm doing is a little bit different, but the people care is still there. So I don't have anybody telling me what I need to do, how long I need to stay with that person. I can just openly help as much or as little as I want. And that was the start of Dorby Bookkeeping Services.
I love that. I love that. And you had said that at the networking event the other day, from it was still people care, right? So from
Yeah,
care to business care, which
yeah.
I love. And I mean, small business owners. Gosh, I mean, I still hate numbers. I've been a small business owner since 2011 and I still hate numbers. So anybody who's out there who gets excited about it and wants to
Yep.
help out, like, thank you.
Yes, you're
Mhm.
welcome. And it's such a team effort, even though, like, I run my own business, you run your own business, but in my eyes, together we are working as a team towards the same goal. So it's not me getting another client and getting money in the door. It's like I'm helping this business and this business owner get more time back, reduce stress, and have the confidence that their books are being held back or being managed in the background, and then they get to go out and do their craft and they just have this surge of energy and like we all grow as this big team together. And that's really my basis, is like working as a team, understanding people and what they need at the time that they need it, and then helping them kind of get out of where they are and essentially just growing.
And I mean, again, who the heck doesn't want that, right? Just
Yeah.
take them out of the stuff that they don't want to be doing,
Yeah.
but have a teammate that is going to help them just get all the shit together
Yeah.
and grow, right? Like that's amazing.
Well, and the other thing is, sorry to cut you off. The other
Right.
thing is, when I was working with doctors and patient care and then people in business care, you have to trust your doctor with your medical, but you also have to trust your financial people. So there are accountants out there and bookkeepers out there that, maybe aren't up and up on all the information, or they've been taught something wrong during, their training and it gets passed along. So you really have to trust who's working with your money. You want to trust who's working with your healthcare. So there's so many parallels between, the entrepreneur. I don't like to say small business owner. It's more of the like small but mighty business owner that's doing everything themselves. They're doing the books, they're running the business, they maybe still have employees, they have a family, don't have a social life, but they do have a social life. It's just all enthralled in business. So it comes to a point where either you exhaust yourself out and you burn out, or you're like, hey, I need some help. Easiest thing is to outsource your bookkeeping, because numbers are numbers. You don't like, you do have to train somebody your numbers and things, but you are making your money based off of your craft. So why would you put somebody else in there to take away from that? Like, you know what you're doing. Your business grew because of what you put into it. So outsource the numbers, which is a very cookie cutter box of this column matches this column and we move on with our life. So, and talking about your numbers, I really don't like my own numbers. But, everybody else's. I'm just a, outside person going in saying, here's your financial read plan. This is what the numbers say, and we move on. Instead of myself, I'm like, I get that panic when I have to log into CRA and see what money I owe. Like, no, but everybody
Right.
else, I'm like, no problem, guys. Here's
Right.
your numbers.
Oh, that's hilarious. I kind of love knowing that even you as a bookkeeper, like you don't even like looking at your own number.
No,
That makes me feel a whole lot better because like
the accountant or the mechanic's car is never fixed. The bookkeeper's books are never tidy. I'm there for everybody else, but I don't have time to put into myself. So I will probably outsource my own bookkeeping before I bring anybody else in to, work with my clients. It's the
yeah,
same type of thing.
yeah. So I want to ask, what would you say your life was like before you made this change?
So it was, looking back, it was very hectic.
Mm.
It was super stressful. Like, I was working, trying to make my 40 hours a week without taking time off for my kids if they were sick or the bus didn't show up, because that's a thing in Ottawa. We're super lucky that way. And, it was super, super stressful. My kids were really upset all the time because mommy was out of the house and daddy was out of the house, and they get rushed in the morning and rushed off the bus and rushed here, rushed there. I just was always trying to find more time.
Mm.
And quite honestly, I work way more hours now. I enjoy the hours I put in. So it doesn't feel like work. So
Yeah,
honestly, I'm like, it doesn't matter what time of the day. I worked all day Saturday. I did a 12-hour day. I had fun. I had ice cream. I went shopping all in between those things. So just the freedom to be able to manage my own time. It doesn't mean I have more time. I'm just able to manage it my own way.
yeah.
And I'm a really good multitasker. So as soon as I was given this freedom, I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome.
That is awesome. I love that, right? Like it is I you've already said a bunch of things that I'm going to ask you about later on,
All good.
but this really is all about the freedom that you're able to create for yourself, right?
Yeah.
When you are in control of your own story, your own destiny, your own day, everything, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you've already kind of touched on that a little bit.
Same
Um,
plane, lady, same plane.
So my next question for you is like, what were some of the main challenges, I guess, that you were facing? I know you said before it's like just not having enough time for family and
hmm
all that kind of stuff. Would you say that was the main things, or was there anything else that was happening as well that just made it hard
Well,
to stay there?
I mean, we always have to talk about the money, right? The
Mm,
money was not there.
mm,
I worked for a lot of eye doctors, and people think, oh, doctors have so much money. Eye doctors really don't get that much money unless they have a dispensary selling glasses.
mm, okay.
Some of them didn't, but at the same time, it felt very uneven with the amount of sales that were coming through the door. There were some places I didn't work that have benefits,
Mm,
and it just felt very uneven, and I
mm,
never really felt appreciated for what I did or the extra things that I brought to the table. So I'm a keener for numbers. I'm coming into this new office and I'm looking at your chart setup and I'm looking at your Excel and I'm implementing things to make the workplace better and more efficient.
mm,
If you're not a manager, you're not getting paid for that. It's like,
yeah,
thanks for all the free,
yeah,
input, and your hourly wage doesn't change.
yeah.
I didn't work anywhere where I got, commissions or bonuses, so it
Um,
didn't matter whether I was working the hardest or
mhm,
not putting in any effort. It just didn't feel, I felt like a number, right? And I am very personable. I want to know about you, why you do the things you do. Well, when I'm getting that personable with my clients or my patients even, it just really, it didn't jive. And at every clinic I went to, there was something else that I kind of pinpointed out. Like, if I ran my own business, I would do this. Well,
mhm,
here I am, and I'm implementing all of these things.
yeah,
So, looking back, I would not change anything that I've done. I would still experience every single employment that I did because I
yeah.
learned something from every experience.
Oh, that,
Looking back, though, it taught me that I was meant to be a business owner. Like, you can do this. You can do it. And the one thing that I was talking with one of my clients the other day, in the thought of like when you're in high school and you're trying to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. She's 19
mm,
today, so we're celebrating. We went for breakfast and mimosas, but I'm trying to teach her how she can, make decisions, she can make mistakes, and it
mm,
doesn't have to be a be all end all. I'm going to be
right.
40 this year. A couple years ago I pivoted to my business. I did it more of like, the world is ending, let's just figure it out.
Yeah,
But realistically, a couple years in, it's like, okay, this is working, and this is
yeah,
working. Why? Because of the effort I'm putting into it.
yeah,
And listen up, you don't need to go to university for a business, anything, MBA, whatever, to run a business. You have
yeah,
to be business savvy. You do have to watch your numbers, working as a team with a bookkeeper, accountant, all these people to help you along the way, but you don't have to have a piece of paper saying that you are allowed to have a business. If, in my opinion, life experience is way more important and way more valuable than what you can remember out of a book.
yeah.
Because let me tell you, my accounting book does not tell me any real life situations that I could use the help for.
Right.
Where I get that help is networking in my bookkeeping
Yeah,
groups and creating business relationships with other accountants that I trust their workflow and how they deal with their clients. So right now I'm, network building for my own business. It's important to have other people in your industry that you trust.
yeah.
I made a friend and went to the National Women's Show yesterday. She gave me 2 tickets. She's a bookkeeper. And we're like, yeah, champion each other. Like, there's tons of business to go around. So don't think that everything is a fight and people are out there to step on top of
Right.
you. There are some people out there, but pay attention to people's actions and how they are supporting you, not just what they say they're going to
Mm,
do.
absolutely, absolutely. So my next thing is going to be like I kind of want to get into I guess where you started to identify that there was an issue. Like what was happening in your life or in the workplace that was like, okay, listen, I need to start paying attention to where I'm at. Like something is wrong here. And yeah, like yeah, you're starting to just realize like, this isn't it anymore.
Yeah. So I'm a big keener and I love to learn and experience, and you're constantly learning through life. So when I was in the eye care world, I wanted to get certified. So I was a Canadian certified optometric assistant for 10 years and I kept up that training and certification. So
Um,
with my own money, not supported by any of the doctors that I worked with. So this was all money, time, and everything. And I got to that 10 years, like, I am so proud of myself, 10 years certified, blah, blah, blah. The certification program was updated. So for certified optometric assistants, we were required for 3-year period to have certain number of credits,
uh,
webinars, things like that.
no.
and they changed it. So instead of every 3 years, which you also had, so you pay for your credits, you pay for your licensing, it's money.
Okay.
But they changed it from a 3 year block to a 1 year block. So now you're paying more money monthly or yearly.
Yeah.
Uh, you're really not getting that much more of an hourly wage based on it. Yet a
Uh,
lot of clinics are preferring to have you have
yeah.
this.
Uh-huh.
So it just started really becoming really money grabby to me. I'm
Mm,
like, I don't feel like the webinars that I'm doing, I'm actually getting any knowledge and information out of. Like, I felt like I completely plateaued.
uh-huh.
Like, if I'm thinking, oh, I know this answer and what you're going to talk about, and I can like preemptively understand the entire webinar and I have to
Mhm.
pay for this, like, I'm not learning anything.
Yeah.
So then it got to the point with the doctor I was working with, she was like, well, it doesn't get you any more money, so what's the point? And I'm like, you know what? This is
Uh,
a certification for your industry, and that's
yeah.
what you're telling
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it just rubbed me the wrong way because when I was in glasses sales, it was not about sales. I have a very high prescription. I have keratoconus. I championed against the liberal government for keratoconus coverage in Ontario. Like, I went way, way out there. Um, but it wasn't about selling the glasses or getting the double sale or
Mm,
doing the sunglass upsale. It was really about helping somebody function in their daily life, helping them
mhm.
see, helping them with contacts because they're in competitive sports now. Like, there are reasons why beyond just needing to see that people need eye care. So that was the part that I wanted. And my licensing became money related.
Right.
The number of patients through the door, how much time you spent on an adjustment. Like, I would chit chat to a blank wall if I could. So when I had patients come to see me, like, I want to know how things are going. Like, I remember what they were eating the last time they were here. Like, I'm very photographic memory. So it really helped me to make those connections. And I would remember people's names. I would really actually remember their glasses and attach the, like, oh, I remember those glasses and they're a Julie whatever 452. Oh yeah, but it was Betty wearing them. So like I was very in tune with my work. But it just really became down to money. And as inflation and
Uh,
everything started picking up, I'm like, I am working 40 hours. I've been in my craft for 10 years. I'm not going anywhere. And if
yeah.
anything, I'm starting to now lose money because I don't get yearly raises. I'm working for less money than I started. So I'm like, I can't get another job either. I don't have time. Like, I work 9 to 5 at the office. Sometimes I do a little bit on Saturdays to help out here and there, but then that's like 6 days away from my family. My kids go through things, sometimes you just need to give them undivided attention. And when you're stressed out about money and like, ooh, but I really should be here instead of with you today, like that makes people, not even kids, but like people in general, feel like shit.
Yeah.
And it was just starting to snowball, and then COVID hit and I'm like, it's a vacation. Time to pivot. This is
Yeah.
maybe my indicator that like I can do something else.
There you go.
Now, having a best friend who's like, here, let me just drop in this work on your lap, that doesn't happen to everybody. You have to go
Right.
out there. But in my industry, what I learned is there are business owners everywhere, everywhere that could use a little bit of help, a lot of help, a little bit of like pick me up and just, push me out of the tree and let me go type thing, whatever it is that business owners need at that time. That was like the basis of my bookkeeping. So, I'm not like every other bookkeeper out there.
Yeah.
I'm very much, oriented into the person, not just the business. Like, where do you want your business to go? If you want to shut it down in 2 years, I'm not crying at night that your numbers aren't done. I'm probably not going to take you on because I will cry at night that your numbers aren't done. So, so again, the people part of things and the support is really what kind of I didn't feel that I was giving that in the eye care world anymore,
Mm, uh-huh.
and I really just wanted to, Laura stopped crying at night. I'm like, I did that for her. And the
Uh,
amount of people that I've met along my journey, of even just like a supportive conversation. Hey, let's go out for coffee. You don't owe me money. Like, I
Uh,
don't charge for my time. Like, in a sense, I do because I flat rate, but I don't charge for my time. Like, you have a question. Why am I going to put a timer on this and then send you a
right,
bill for it? We're all trying
right,
to learn and grow.
right.
So that's my basis. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. So I basically put myself in like, this, what would I do as a client? How would I approach this? And
Yeah,
that's kind of like, where I put myself. So I have my heart on my sleeve, but it resonates with so many people because everything is like, click this, pick your time in my schedule. There's no like interaction. Like, why is your schedule busy?
right.
What are your best times? Like, I'm going to somebody's house on Sunday afternoon to help her because she has a
Uh,
full time regular job and they have
yeah.
this startup that they're trying to do. And she's like, my accountant asked me questions and I don't know what the words are. I'm like, oh, okay, let's just have a little chat. I'll come over, no problem. She's like, I
Yeah.
can only do weekends and evenings, and in the weekends they do 12-hour cooking because they have to rent a commercial kitchen. Like, I'm here to help. I'm not here to make your life more difficult. So I really like to resonate with the why of why
Yeah.
people need help as well. It's,
Yeah.
I know you need bookkeeping help, but why do you want it?
Yes.
And what do you
Right.
want back in your life that
Yeah.
I can support you with?
That's amazing. I love that because I think, I mean, if you're a small business owner, really everything that you're trying to do, or an entrepreneur, everything that you're trying to do really is to help other people, right? Just
Yeah.
them get wherever it is that they want to go. So I
Yeah.
love that. Let me see. I want to ask, what was the turning point that pushed you to make the pivot? And then you kind of answered this before also, but like, did you have any support or inspiration that helped you decide to make this change?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically Laura was my catapult. She
Uh-huh.
she was like, "Can I just pay you?" I'm like, "You're going to pay me to do this?" I'm like, "All I do is sort your papers." She's like, "People need that." So like
Right.
as a business owner, and she was in year 4 or 5 at that point, she's like, people need this, people need you, go out there and do it. So I was like, maybe I'll just dabble, and I basically tested the waters. I'm like, who is going to respond to this?
Yeah.
And I had a couple bites and I said, okay. And
Yeah.
I made some mistakes on pricing. I figured out that, if I'm going to do this, I want some sort of training. So then I was like,
Mm,
okay, well, let's dabble and see. I took a level 1 bookkeeping course through Mohawk. I'm like, if I like it, because as things grow and as I like to learn, if I get into something that I don't enjoy, like, it's going to burn out and I'm just going to
right.
not want to do it. So I was really lucky with Laura being my guinea pig, basically.
Mm,
So I tested everything, and I didn't feel any like shame or
mm,
anything on her end of,
mhm.
like, if you get this wrong, I'm coming
Right.
after you.
Mm,
And I what I did at the beginning is I set my own expectations. Like, as a new bookkeeper, what am I expecting out of myself? What
mhm,
is it that I need to put out there that other people are going to resonate with me and trust? So I started making checklists, and then I started thinking about my education. So once I got that and I really learned that the bookkeeping world, I can pick and choose whatever services I want to offer.
right.
Bookkeeping and accounting, there's so many different levels of what you can do under there. You can go all the way and be an accountant. You can stay in bookkeeping. I really like helping people in multiple different levels. So I put a swing on it and I did bookkeeping and admin. So
Mm,
once everything started rolling, and I really did see the parallels between healthcare and business care, I'm like, this is it for me. I'm jumping in 2 feet in, and if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to healthcare. And
yeah.
that's what I thought. Like, I really always had in the back of my mind that I'd still go back to healthcare
Mm,
because I love it so much. Once my bank account was showing me that I love this more, then I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not going back, because
it's
I was
okay.
able to help so many different
Yeah.
businesses at different levels. I have, like, my package range is like very drastic because I can spend an hour with you a month, or I can spend like 40 hours with you a month. Like,
Mm, mhm,
the possibilities are endless. So just being open, here's my little tidbit: be open to change and be
mm,
okay to make mistakes, because I learned mistakes along the way. Laura was my very first client, and her starting rate to where she is now has like quadrupled because I then valued what I was giving to businesses. So it's not always about dollar,
Mm,
how many hours are you spending? You know what? I give you a lot more than just my hourly time. So I package things together. So
right.
again, sometimes it's marketing. Like how are you going to put yourself out there and how are people going to resonate back? So try it. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Try something else. Try a
Yeah,
different way. Try different wording. Maybe you're like, hey, I'm at a standstill. Get some help. There's coaches out there. I think I know one.
maybe.
Uh, there's people out there that are, have tried everything, have done it, or just really good at resonating with other people and
Mhm.
getting them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, use the people. Nobody is saying you have to be in this boat alone. You can
Right.
have other paddles and rowers. You can lead the boat, but we work better as a team. So be a team player, even if you're, a solo business worker that
Yeah.
works in your bay window like I am. I still go out in public and I meet people and, I do that interaction and I always come home so like soul fulfilled. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, I was so ready for a nap, but I was so excited. I was like posting all over the place. I was sending emails out. There's so many amazing people out there. So just keep trying.
I love it so much. So,
Yeah.
before we get into, because I do want to talk about like how things have felt since you made this change, right? But if you had to look back at just before you made this pivot, what was the scariest thing, or was there anything that was like kind of holding you back from doing it, right? Like
Yeah.
thoughts in your mind that's like, I don't know.
You know what? A little bit of muscle memory of being a full-time employee since I
Um,
was like 16. Like
uh,
your job is to be somewhere from this time to this time and you get told what to do the entire time. So like my first few days I was like nobody's telling me what to do. Like I don't know where to go. I don't know where to put my hands. Like am I supposed to call somebody? Like it was so foreign to me to have my own schedule.
yeah.
And
Who's
then it was
running
like
this place?
every day that I woke up, I'm like, it's okay if I sleep in today because nobody's gonna yell at me. Like I didn't have to leave my house. It was scary because it was so unknown and I had never
Yeah.
experienced that before. I've been working full-time working, supporting myself since I was 17. Like I had a troubled teenage years and I went through a lot of stuff. I
Mm,
did have a supportive mom, but I had a lot of issues from the other side.
yeah.
So, you can't fix everybody and I get my stamina and my endurance from my mom. So, thank you for that, mummy. But it's just really hard to do something that you've not experienced before because we're creatures of habit. So the more you get comfortable in doing something, relationships, jobs, it's like, oh, I've worked in a factory for 20 years, so that's all I can do for the rest of my life. Well, who is saying that, right?
Yeah.
Like you are telling yourself that. If you're not happy, go out there and try something. Maybe you don't just like quit your pension job right away and try and open up a candy fluff business or something. I don't know. But maybe you try it on the weekends and maybe you start putting out some flyers out there and maybe you just start somewhere
Yeah.
and see what comes of it. And maybe you don't end up with the candy fluff and you end up doing something completely different, but you started somewhere and you got out of that comfort zone a little bit. Like even just talking to people this whole year, the beginning of the year, Laura and I promised each other, you know what, this year we're going to network, we're going to get out there. And I'm like, I've never experienced networking groups before. Honestly, like, talk about a change of life. Like, it's really opened up. Like, you and I have connected. I've met
Right?
so many different people. And now I see everybody's names in the groups that I've been in for 2 years. I'm like, hey, I got all my buddies in here. Like, we're all here. Everybody's here to support you. You just
Yeah.
have to put yourself out there and get comfortable with, saying, hi, I'm Michelle. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm
Yeah.
here trying. Like,
Yeah.
if you say that, people will be like, ah, it's fine.
Well, and like with what you're saying too, is everybody's been a beginner entrepreneur at some point. So when there's another beginner entrepreneur in there, or
Yeah.
somebody who's gone through a pivot, because guaranteed there's other people who've been through a pivot.
Yeah.
All you have to do is identify that that's who you are, and somebody is going to, I'm going to say, take you under their wing.
Yeah.
They're going to give you whatever advice they can. Like you said, you don't have to be alone in the process if you don't want to be alone in the process,
Yeah.
right? So,
And, just give yourself some grace too,
right.
because again, like we all start somewhere, we're all nervous, we all have certain things that we're insecure about that, maybe we think everybody's looking at us for, but really they don't care. They like our shirt, or it's like, hey, your glasses are cool. They're not like looking at you going, oh, you're fidgeting with your fingers, how
Right.
dare you?
Right.
Like, if you say, I'm trying, I'm really nervous, I've never done this before. You're going to find the people that are like, I support you. You're going to
Yeah.
find those mentors that are like, you know what, give me a call. I'd love to have a coffee. If
Yeah.
public speaking isn't your thing, or, let's just go out and we'll do things together. It's so important. And they say it takes a village to raise a child, but that child grows up to be an adult. You can't just kick it out. It's used to being supported this whole time. So, like,
Right.
support each other. Find your
Yeah.
people, find your groups.
Right.
I've been to groups where I'm like, they don't like noise, so I have to
Mm.
vacate. And there's other ones that fully embrace my loudness
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're totally fine. And they're like, when are you going to be at the next one? So it's okay. And, there have been offices in the past that I've worked at that, like, my personality did not jive with them,
No.
and like I would cry on my breaks. Like I would
Uh,
cry and I'm like, I don't feel like I can be myself. I
right.
can't go out there and feel, unjudged. Like it was terrible. Like
Yeah.
everything was nitpicky. I'm like, this is just not for me. And I felt really good not being there, but
Right.
it taught me to like find your group. And you know what, even if you still want to be an employee, it's not the employer who's like, oh, well, you have to impress me. You know what? That employer has to impress you too, because
Yeah.
you're going into a group of people where you're going to spend a lot of time
Yeah.
and you want to feel valued. So if you go into an interview, or if you go into, suss out the job before your interview and just see what the dynamics are about, I do that all the time. And I
Yeah.
will also creep everybody's website. I'm like, I want to know who I'm working with because it's important for me
Yeah.
and I have very strong values. So if I can see that these people are miserable coming into work every day and they're rolling their eyes every time the manager walks by, I'm not accepting that interview because I'm wasting my own time.
Yeah.
So just, be comfortable with your people and find your voice
Yeah.
and, figure out what your values are and just stick to them, because there's a million jobs out there.
Mm.
A lot of them don't pay enough, but there's a million jobs out there. But there's also budding entrepreneurs who value good people and
You're right.
will be looking for more. So,
Mm.
you know, you might be stuck now, but you're not going to be stuck forever as long
Right.
as you do put yourself out there.
So during your transition process, was there any obstacles you faced jumping through? I know that you said you went through kind of like I'm going to say an experimental phase where you
Mm-hmm.
just kind of dipped your toes in the water, but was there any obstacles that you faced in the process?
Oh, 100%. So, being in the financial world,
Mm.
everybody wants you to have credentials. They want to know what you've done in the past because you can go into somebody's books and really fuck some shit up. So, I got to a point where my basic, my admin level, my bookkeeping level, it was basic.
Mhm.
I needed that bump up of education. I needed that formal training. That being said, I did it, and my teacher was horrible. It was an online continuing education with a
Right.
college, and the professor had a difficulty logging into his PowerPoint, and he
Oh,
was fumbling with his Excel. And I'm like, this is not conductive to me learning anything, because I didn't
mhm.
have any trust that he was teaching me the right things because he couldn't
Right.
use Excel. I'm like, I'm an online bookkeeper. I need you to use your computer. I just want to know the facts of what I need to learn.
Mm.
So
Mm.
again, I learned you take what you can out of each
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
and I have my textbook, so I will read it. But I was like, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to find mentors who I can like ask questions as they come up. I have my theory now. I understand the basics. I understand the chart of accounts, which is super, super important. But again, real life experience is so much more valuable in my eyes than, I mean, you obviously want your doctor and surgeon to go to school. I am not saying that. But where there are, you can have different levels of bookkeepers,
Right.
you can have different levels of coaching, whatever. Um you just have to be comfortable with it. But then I put out there, this is where I'm comfortable. If you have tax questions or whatever, I will pass you on, or you ask your own
Yeah.
professional. But I
Mhm.
put it right in there. I did not make myself out to be, I know everything. I do have certain restrictions with my knowledge. I am still a young bookkeeper.
Right.
So, I mean, everybody was okay with it. And
Yeah.
everybody, I think, really appreciated the honesty in that,
Hmm.
because we don't know everything. We
Right.
just don't. As much as we want to, we don't. So it was really just learning more of my craft and making sure that I knew what I was doing, because I
Yeah.
don't have anybody checking my work. So
Hmm.
that was also a really scary thing, as okay, I'm not jumping into somebody else's firm where I can ask the higher up or the
Right.
owner or whatever. I am the owner. I ask myself. So if
The
I have
whole
any
thing.
doubt, I'm like, oh, well, now I don't have anybody to ask.
Right.
So I, made sure that I made connections in my own field so that I do have those resources when I need to reach out. And, my bookkeepers group has been really, really full of knowledge, because their whole basis is let's support each other,
Mm.
so that, because you don't know what you don't know until you
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It resonates back to eyes. We say get your kids' eyes checked before they start school, because learning and vision goes hand in hand. If they can't see, they're not going to be able to read or understand
Yeah.
shapes, and it snowballs. So you can't ask your kid, well, do you see clearly? They're like, yeah, of course I do. They don't have anything to reference it to. So
Yeah.
sometimes they sit in that optometrist chair and they're like, what are you showing me? And it's
Right.
like, this is a boat. And they're like, I can't see anything. Well, like, okay, well, now we know that there's an issue with one eye and it was overcompensating,
Right.
so you really don't know what you don't know until you learn it. So
Mm.
go out there and be open to learning more in your craft, because things change. We don't know everything, and you want to keep up on it. I mean, I want to keep up on it because I love learning. But I think that also keeps me humble, because there are people that know a ton more than me as well.
Yeah.
So, I'll get there at one point, but
I think you touched on something that I think is kind of a scary thing. It's a fear point for people. It's going into a new career, a new path, and being new at it, especially
yes,
if you were somebody who was really good at what you did before. But now to start over from scratch and be new and not know all the things is such a scary prospect to make, right? It's just like, how do
absolutely.
you step into that? Yeah.
Thinking back, it gives me the sweats. Like, it is scary. It is a scary thing. But
Yeah.
again, the best things come from change and growth. Like,
Mm.
I don't want to be 20 years old again, because that was a hard time. Okay. Like, I'm good with my lessons and I'm good to be where I am now and move
Yeah.
forward. I don't need to redo what I did, but I'm going to take everything that I did learn and I'm going to just like use it as power,
Right.
and push forward through some things. And, if you have to take a step back and say, okay, I really need help here, just be honest with yourself and don't go in that like hole of denial. It's like, oh, yeah, everything's fine. Yeah. It's like
Mm.
the dog sitting at the table and like the burning fire of house behind him. And he's like, this is fine.
Everything's fine.
You know what?
Everything's
Don't
fine.
go there, because it's harder to get out of a hole
Yeah.
than it is to like, okay, I see a problem, or
Yeah.
I see that maybe I'm spiraling a bit. Like, be aware of where you are and
Yeah.
like, where you started and where you are now. Like, check in with yourself and your
Yeah.
business too, right? Like, every 6 months, okay, well, is my business producing properly? Is this something that I should look at my pricing? Or, have I lost a lot of clients? Like, what is going on? You want to assess all the time,
Yeah.
because you don't want to be stagnant.
Right.
Healthcare changes, business changes,
Yeah.
tax implementations change. Every year the government takes away more tax credits for us parents. All kinds of
Mhm.
things are changing. So be aware of your industry, where you are or where you want to be, and plan to get there.
Yeah. So my next question for you is going to be about, so we talked about where you were before, what your life was like before, what it was like making the pivot. And so the next thing um is, where are you now, and what is life for you like now? Now that you've made the change, you've stepped into doing this thing that you say like you love, right? No matter how many hours you spend doing this thing, you just absolutely love it. So what is life like now for you? How does it feel? All that kind of stuff.
Feels like sunshine and knows? Honestly, I still love it. I'm going into, so next year will be my 5th year in business, open for 4, but I'm at the point where I want to grow. Like,
Yeah.
I came to another crossroad. It's like, okay, do I want to stay the one lady show where I just have enough clients to fill up my schedule? Or do I want to make something bigger out of this? Do I want employees? Do I want subcontractors? Do I want to expand the type of businesses that I can support with more education and more accounting knowledge? I'm going. I'm just going wherever it takes me. I'm having fun on the ride. There might come to a point where it's like, okay, the growth is exponential. It's too much for me and I don't
Yeah.
want that anymore.
Yeah.
Like I know your story is very unique where you had the burnout and you had to kind of decide, is this where I want to be? So
Right.
right now for me, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like my business message and my approach to people and businesses, is very well received.
Yeah.
So with my networking, with more people that I meet, like I go out everywhere and I meet a business that's like, you do bookkeeping, and they're like,
You
talk to
meeting
me under
people
the
places? What?
bridge. They get all like we have to whisper about it. It's really exciting to still get out there and help people. And I don't have to wait for the person to come through the door
Right.
because they saw our ad on TV. I just go out there and I
Right.
talk to people and I support other local businesses. I brought cash with me to the women's show and I
Well,
did all of my purchases in cash. I spent more, so I apologize to the last people for using debit. But help those businesses keep their overheads down, reduce
yeah.
processing fees for them
Yeah.
because if they make 100 purchases,
Yeah.
they end up paying over $100 in service fees. Like
Yeah.
that could be another full client or whatever for them. So
Yeah.
being out there and making conscious efforts to support local drums up business for my business. And it's very natural, very organic. I don't go out there and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna like trick everybody that I'm a business owner. It comes out naturally. Sometimes it doesn't at all, and that's fine. But I'm just out there and I'm doing my thing and I'm enjoying it. I This year I've partnered with Dress for Success Ottawa, so I'm raising money for them this
Love that.
month for their Her Story campaign. So I'm actually featured as a businesswoman who has made impact and change. And to be a story out there that, no matter where you come from or what you look like, you can be somebody out there. I get a lot of people that are like, you don't seem like a bookkeeper. I'm like, well, when you think of bookkeeper, it's somebody that likes to be behind the scenes, likes to sit in front of the
Mm,
data, doesn't like to be the outside person.
yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm not allowed to be a bookkeeper. That just means I have a different platform to help people that like my persona or the efforts that I put in. Like I get into your books and I'm like in there like a gopher. Like I am in there. People are like, what are you doing? They don't know. They don't know what I do. But it's important for me to make my businesses understand if I get hit by a bus tomorrow because I was looking at a squirrel, then you need to be able to get back into your books and know the basics of where to go.
Yeah.
So it's not just about me making business. It's about helping business owners understand their own structure
Yeah.
and how they can continue on without me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. Like, to me, I'll say I'm trying not to bring any part of my story into this. I'm going to do a separate episode with my whole story, but
Mhm.
for me, one of the biggest things that I've experienced since pivoting is literally just the simple fact that I feel so much more aligned and connected to what I'm doing. I feel happier, right? And I mean,
Yes.
I loved doing hair.
Mhm.
But I've realized that this is where I'm meant to be. And to me, that's the magic of stepping into your next phase of life. That
Yeah.
to me is the magic of letting go of who you thought you were and what you used to do.
Or
And now,
any pre-expectations that other people may have of you, right? Because our society is
absolutely.
very much built on, you're this age, you're supposed to do this or
Yeah.
that, like it doesn't, there's no cookie cutter. There are no right answers.
Yeah.
It's what's right for you in your path. And maybe you try something and you're like, shit, that was not a good decision. But that's okay because you
Yeah.
learn not to do that next time.
Yeah.
So just trust that you can do whatever, like, find your passion and then just have fun doing it, because
Yeah.
I love what I do. I love it so much. And I think the easy part for me when I was pivoting was I found so many parallels in something that I already really, really love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't specifically eyeballs. There are zeros that look like eyeballs, so it's close. But it was all very much the same type of care, and that was really
Mm-hmm.
what I was looking for. And I don't want to go to work for 8 to 12 hours a day doing anything that I don't feel like I'm making a difference in somebody else's life. Like,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me, is making difference. I also have 3 daughters, and they also need to have a strong support to show, like,
Yeah.
life is really tough sometimes as a woman specifically, and you can really just do whatever you want to do. Find your supports, have your little, like, cheerleading rah-rah team. But you can do that, and you can, my 19-year-old Naomi, she wants to be an electrician, so she's going
Uh,
to electrical apprentice. She's like, I'm gonna run my own business, and mom's is gonna run my books. And I'm like, hey, girl, like,
it's all planned
she's
out.
already building her
Yeah.
support system. I've
Yeah.
been voluntold, of course I'm gonna be there, but she has so much confidence that she has a supporting team, that she can go out into a male dominated
Uh,
industry and make a difference and
yeah.
do what she enjoys and loves doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what my other two, Sydney and Brody, are going to do, but whatever they do, it'll be fantastic.
You got
And
time.
we got time. And
You
even
got time.
Naomi, if she gets in there and she's like, this is fucking shit and I hate it, pivot, girl, pivot. Do something different. Try it out. Experience life. I'm turning 40 and I pivoted a
Mhm.
couple years ago. There's no age limit
Right.
or, well, you've passed the time to
Yeah.
pivot. Like, it just doesn't, other than menopause, nobody's going to tell you what your body can do.
Once that's done, you're done. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you're done, okay?
That, yeah. Yeah. So again, you answered one of my questions, but I do want to ask this again. What is a message that you would like to impart on somebody who is maybe on the precipice of making a change, but they're scared? Like, they know where they are right now is just not where they want to be. Maybe they're hating life. Things aren't working out. Like you said, spending too much money just not getting back what they want to
Yeah.
out of their current situation. What is it that you would tell them? Yeah, what would you tell them?
First, I'd say it's okay. Things are going to be okay. But then I would say, you know what? You're already on your path to making your pivot because you realize what is making you unhappy,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Mhm.
make a list, write it down, because
Yeah.
all these thoughts kind of like fly through and you're like, hey, that really, grinds my gears, but then something else comes in and life gets in the way. Write it down. Write down what's frustrating you in life or where you are or the specific situation, and then, like, write some things that you want to have that would make you feel good, or would give you satisfaction in your job or anything like
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
then maybe you need to talk to people. It's a process, right? So when my clients come on board and they're like, oh my god, I'm drowning in paperwork, I'm like, okay, it's okay. You've already taken the first step because you've reached out for help. So
Right.
congratulations. Step number
Mm.
1 is done, right? And then it's okay, let's assess where you are, and we work by steps. So, maybe that piece of paper in that list, it gives you an aha moment. You're like, holy
Right.
shit, here it is. Off I go. I got my
Yeah.
rollerblades on. And then sometimes you're like, this list doesn't make sense, and now I'm more frustrated. Well, go out and talk to people. Maybe there's a certain profession that you've been eyeballing. Just go
Mhm.
talk to somebody,
Mhm.
like, go to a networking group, try
Right.
and experience different types of situations that you've not been in before, because maybe you're like, well, this is not the part of business owning I want to do, and I would just want to support somebody else's business, but maybe find a smaller business to support instead of a corporate business
Right.
where you are just a number and a paycheck, and they don't
Right.
care if you get hit by a bus because they'll just hire somebody else in your place, right? So
Mhm.
you have to find what it is that's going to make your soul happy. And
Yeah.
for me, it's understanding that people really enjoy the work that I do for them, and they see value in what I give them. I don't want anybody to pay me if they're like, well, I don't really know what you're doing. I'm like, well, I do
Mhm.
a lot and I care. So if you don't see that, then bye
Yeah.
bye,
Yeah. Yeah.
And just because I have a business open for, or a business accepting clients, that doesn't mean I have to accept everybody walking through the
Right.
door too,
Yeah.
right? So, there's so many variables, and sometimes all the variables just go, I don't think I should. You
Yeah.
should always try.
Right.
Always try.
Right.
Like I said, maybe it's like I'm super unhappy in this job, but I don't actually know what else I want to do.
Mhm.
Go on your weekends and go and explore different, events, circumstances, go with different people. Go walk around and like watch people working. Like
Mhm.
maybe it's an inventive idea and you're like going to change the world. Maybe it's just another business model that you're like, I want to get that out there. So, write down your list, but make it a process. And it doesn't have to be done this weekend,
Right.
or, you don't have to set a timeline on when this can be done. Sometimes the most gratifying things grow organically because you put your heart and soul into it.
Right.
So, trust the process too.
That's such great, great, great advice. So I guess my final question for you is I just want to leave it open. Like, is there anything that you would is there anything that you would want to say to anybody as a final note to just to wrap this all up neatly? Anything like that? Any messages for people?
I would love to thank my family. I want to thank my girls for honestly just being super inspiring and showing me that I don't have to be an employee, somebody out there
Okay.
to make a difference. And, my support system. So, my husband, obviously, I couldn't have done this without his support and understanding and, like, hey, let's do this together as a team. So, he's my cheer rah rah in the background. And, I just am really grateful for all of the people that I've come across. Putting myself out there into networking groups allowed us to meet, and I'm so happy for our friendship and, just the way that we've been able to support each other and
Yeah.
develop. So I just want to say to all the business owners out there, keep going. Find your champions, find your cheerleaders, support others, and, let's continue creating our own community of business owners instead of always having, corporate and government and everybody all stressed out. Like, yes, they make the big decisions out there, but like in our little community nook, we can make so much
Right.
difference. Right? Like it's not always about money. It is more about community and connecting and putting things in process for the next generation because it's going to be even tougher for them. And
Yeah.
they have so many more struggles, and we don't know what the world is going to look like. So try for now, don't worry about later, and, stay positive. And I love you all.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I love your story. I love your energy. And oh yeah, you're really shy, aren't you?
Yeah,
Like you're
I'm
just
super shy. I'm so excited. Look, I'm sweating. My glasses are slipping. Like, I'm so
oh my
pumped.
God.
I'm so pumped. I'm so excited to be on here with you. Thank you
I
for
love
letting
this.
me
I love this.
share my story and, just getting that out there.
I love this. So again, thank you so much for being here. And this was such a great episode. I think that people are going to find a lot of great inspiration and nuggets from this episode. And you really are an inspiration. I love your energy. I love your vibe. I don't know if I know anybody who is literally as high energy, like all the time, bubbly all the time.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I think the world needs more of it. So, yeah, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
for
here.
putting me out there. So, let's just keep going and supporting all those businesses out there, right? Let's
Amazing.
make a difference, Kelly.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're
Adam.
about. I love it.